Hi, this is Doug from Dynamic Computing, and welcome to episode 34 of 10-Minute Amiga Retrocast. This one is all about the new Best Workbench 1.2 update for Amiga OS 3.1.4 and some other cool utilities that I like to use on my Amigas. You may have noticed a new look behind me here, a wall of monitors. I've got a couple of 1702 monitors here, and I have a nice 1040S monitor. Apparently, the video toaster really loves its monitors and really likes to work with 3 of them, so that's what I did. I'm going to have a full review of the Amiga video toaster and a tutorial in the next couple of weeks, so stay tuned. I've been having a lot of fun with it. So this week I'm going to talk about the Best Workbench 1.2 update, which was created by Gulliver, who is one of the devs who helped to create Amiga OS 3.1.4. I've covered Best Workbench before, when it first was released a couple of months ago, and I'll link to that other video. And I really recommend Best Workbench for anybody who uses Amiga OS 3.1.4. Now, there is a version for Amiga OS 3.1 called Better Workbench, and I'll link to that in the description too. I also want to spend a few minutes talking about a couple of programs that I use on a regular basis that I think just about everybody needs on their Amiga. Now, these programs will work on any version from Amiga OS 3.1 on up, but I want to cover them in today's video. Now, Best Workbench is available as an update file from a previous version or as a full download. Now, I'm using the update file, but the full version works just the same. It just has 4 or 5 floppies instead of 2. The file itself comes in a zip format instead of LHA, which is an interesting choice that Gulliver made. I unzipped mine on the PC, which left me with the install disks in ADF and DMS format. And here they are right here. I brought the files over to the Amiga on a CF card on my Amiga 500, 4000, and 1200, but on my new A2000, I burned them and the other utilities to a CD. A Gotek drive also works great for this purpose, or hook your PC up to an Amiga via a serial cable, an Amiga Explorer, and copy the files over that way. Come to think of it, I see an entire episode about data transfer in the near future. Now here comes the next fun utility. We have these ADF files moved over to the Amiga, and we could use a utility like devcopy or TSG utilities to make real floppies, but we're only going to use these files one time. So why waste 2 nice floppies on them? Enter Disk Image GUI, this little beauty right here. This is a great program from Roger Hasseth, and it's based on a previous program from Thor Buckelman. It allows you to mount ADF files as virtual disk and also supports ISO files from CD and HDF hard files. So let's decompress this and put it on our computer. Now in this case, I'm going to use the Unarchiver program that comes along with one of the versions of Best Workbench. Should be in Tools. Unpacker, there we go. We're going to launch that up. We're going to browse to our little folder where I've got the files, downloads, episode 34, disk image, there we are. Now it's going to ask where we want to decompress it to. Now a good place would be the Tools folder or the Utilities folder on your Workbench disk. Let's go ahead and put it in Tools just for laughs. Now, one thing I'd like a little bit more about this version of the decompression utility is I'd love to see a progress bar showing it actually decompressed, but can't have everything. So here is our new program, Disk Image GUI. Look what we can do here. First of all, there's a little install routine that will put the necessary libraries in the appropriate place on the Amiga. This will install some files required by Disk Image GUI to WB2000. No existing files would be overwritten. Okay? It installed those files. Now we click on Disk Image GUI, Now we launch Disk Image GUI. There we go. And it gives you a choice of IDF0 through IDH1 to map your drives to. We're going to choose IDF0. We're going to insert an image and browse to where we've put our files. I've put them in Work, Downloads, Episode 34, Best Workbench. Here's the ADF file for disk 1. Now it'll come up and it will ask for another disk. We'll put that disk 2 in here. ADF file for disk 2. Now we've put both of them in there. We can click Quit. Now, if you're using the full version of the Best Workbench 1.2 update, you'll have 4 or 5 disks that you need to mount. You can just use this utility to mount those. Let's go back, close our windows down, and look what we have here. We have Best Workbench 1.21 and 1.2 disk 2. They just act like regular floppies right on the Amiga. Go ahead and click on Install Best WB right here, and it does its installations. Once you're done, it's just going to ask you to reboot the Amiga, so go ahead and do that. Now let's take a look at the README file about what's changed. One of the things that's disappointed me most about upgrading from Amiga OS 3.9 to Amiga OS 3.1.4 was the loss of the dock on the bottom of the screen that you could link your files to. Now, there have been a couple of replacements out there. One of them looked like a Windows 95 start menu. The one that I finally settled on and have been using actually adds to your tool menu here, and you can launch programs from a tools menu, and it's worked okay, but I really miss having a nice dock I can just click on. That has been replaced with WB Dock in here, and we'll look at that in a minute. The other thing that's been added is a nice program called Image Mount, which does exactly what Disk Image GUI does, which allows you to add ADF, ISO, or HDF files and have them show up right on the workbench. Now, wouldn't do us any good to use that one because we needed to use Disk Image GUI to mount them before we could even install Image Mount. Image Mount is nice because it should work under a 68,000 chip instead of a 68,020, so you may want to use this one if you have an older Amiga. We've also updated some libraries on here and some bug fixes. Let's take a look at the dock though. What you can do is you can go into your prefs folder, and you're going to have this new icon that's called Workbench Startup Prefs, and it's going to show you which commodities are in your startup drawer already and which commodities are available to add to your startup drawer. So what you can do is just click on WB Dock and choose Enable, and it'll go right to your startup drawer. This is exactly the same as if you just went to your startup drawer and did a drag and drop of the file into your startup drawer. Let's go ahead and start Workbench Dock. So you'll notice that the default dock will look best in 16 colors or more. Now, on my machine, I'm using a nice Picasso 2 RTG card, so mine's in 256 colors. You add files to the dock just like this. One option would be, let's go to our graphics folder, we'll put PPaint down here, dragging and just dropping them in there into a free spot, and there they go. Or you can right click, choose Add Item, and then browse to whatever folder you want to add the program from. So we'll go to Programs, we'll go to Productivity, ProWrite, and we will put ProWrite in there. There we are. ProWrite, okay. You can do that for all the utilities that you want to. So here you can see I've added in quite a few programs down here to my dock. It's gotten rather large, but this is a good time to show you that you can reskin your toolbar too. You can choose one of the built-in skins that it defaults with, or you can choose one of your own. Let's choose MEWB Dock here. There's a nice skin, my daughter with a clown wig on. Now there's also some options over here. As you right click it, you can turn the drag bar on or off. That's the little bar on the left hand side. I found that it's best to just keep the darn thing on. Everything works better that way. You can choose sticky menus, which means when you right click, the menu stays in place no matter where you click. Move the mouse until you click something, the menu will stay in place. Choose this to save your settings, so to make sure you've saved all your icons where you want them to be. You can change the orientation, whether it's on the bottom or somewhere along the right or the left hand side of the screen. That's a little crazy. You can also choose different kinds of docks instead of just this traditional one. Go to Style. Here's an interesting one called Funny. We'll activate that one. And here you see all the little icons are now these little bouncy things at the bottom. Kind of cute, but not particularly practical. Probably uses up more system resources too, since they're wiggling around down there, but kind of fun. Magic WB is a colorful one, but useful. That's an attractive one. The one that I settle on and one that I like is Tool Manager. I find that it's a nice, sleek, and relatively professional looking one that shrinks your icons down to fit on the screen, where the main one, you notice when I have the big icons like Amiga Vision and Toaster Paint and things like that, or Toaster, that they got so big it made the toolbar very large. I find this one works really well. Now, just to show you the image mount program, that you're going to put that in your system folder. It's going to work just like Disk Image GUI. Just asks you which file you want to mount, and of course you just browse right to the file and mount her right up. Now, a few more under the hood enhancements include all of the monitor drivers that I talked about a couple of months ago in my AGA special. So you can go in here to Storage and Monitors, and you'll have all of your fancy monitor drivers. Now be aware that these will only generally work if you have the enhanced chipset. So if you have the newer Denise chip, then these monitor drivers should work for you. It's also included this nice FAQ file in Amiga Guide format that goes over what Best Workbench is, the stuff under the hood, the programs that are available with a nice description of them. So it's really nice how Gulliver has put this together and had a nice interface so we can read a little bit about it. Now, I want to touch on a couple of more free programs that I think every Amiga owner should use. The first is Hippo Player. Now, Hippo Player is a mod file player, and it can play back most mod files that are out there. Of course, mod files have been around for about 20-25 years. People have been making them for decades. And they're fantastic music files that use actual instrument samples to play back. So let's install this. We're going to use our unarchiving program to install it. What you're going to do, you'll browse to where you've saved the file. In this case, Downloads, episode 34, Hippo Player, LHA. Click OK, and tell it where you want to decompress Hippo Player to. In this case, I've got a nice programs directory, audio, and I would just decompress it there to the audio folder. Once you decompress it, browse to where you decompressed it to. There is no install routine for this program, but there are some libraries that you have to copy over manually. So If you've watched my previous tutorial videos, all of this will be very familiar to you. One way to do it is to open up your Workbench, show all files, and here's your library folder. Go back to Hippo Player, show all files, you see that under Hippo support, you've got this libs folder. Take a look inside of there. Copy over all of these libraries into your libs folder. So we can do select contents and then just click, drag them into libs, and they will go right in there. You can also do all of this from the shell. Now, my personal opinion, it would have been real easy for the guy to create a little install script to do that, but it's really not that hard to do it manually. Once Hippo Player is installed, let's take a look at what it can do. I want Hippo Player down here. So download some mod files from the location that I'll link to. And then we copy them to the Amiga, add, and then just like one of the old CD players, you can choose a couple of files. So we've got 3 mods here to play, and we just click play. And the cool thing about this is when you're playing a mod file, it's really not using a tremendous amount of system resources. So you're going to be able to launch other programs very easily. And everything works just fine while you're doing other things on your Amiga. Now, the mod player, you can randomize the songs that play back. You can make a list 50 or 100, 200 songs long, have it just play all day. You'll have a lot of fun with the mod player in Hippo Player. We know that the Amiga is famous for its graphics. It always has been. Back in '85, it was years ahead of the PC and Mac, and it kept an edge for a long time afterwards. Even AGA is not as bad as some people say it is. John Bodovkar Schaller. So tell me the truth here, guys. When you read these graphics, did you hear them in John and Aaron's voice? I know you did. Now, the data types in Amiga OS 3.1.4 let us open JPEG images, but did you know there's an incredibly powerful image editing program that opens JPEG images and lets you manipulate them in 24-bit color, even on an OCS machine? That program is called GRIMM. And GRIMM was made by Dennis Spock, or Spotch. Version 1.76 is available here. I'll put a link down here. There is an older version on AmiNet, but I'll email the author. He hasn't updated in years, but I'll email him, see if he'll let me upload the newer version onto AmiNet. Now, GRIMM requires no actual installation. You just copy over after you decompress it, as we've gone over before. Copy it over wherever you want to, and you see it's got a 68,000 version, an 020 version, 020 floating point, 040, and an 060 version. Just double click whichever version you want to use. In this case, I'm going to go with the 040 version. Now, GRIMM supports 15 different kinds of image formats to open, including popular ones like JPEGs, TIFFs, bitmap images, things like that, and it can save in about 8 popular formats. Now, this is going to look particularly good because I'm using this on my retargetable graphics card, but you can very easily use this even on an OCS 68,000 Amiga. It's going to represent everything on screen in like a ham 6 mode or a 32 color mode, but internally it will store everything as 32-bit files. So let's take a look at a nice image here. All right, and you can see it will represent the image on your screen. And again, if you're using an ECS or OCS machine, it's going to show this as like a ham 6 image. If you have an AGA machine, it'll show it in 256 color AGA. But you can do fun things with this, like change the size. This is a 1280 by 720 image. We'll click divided by 2. Suddenly it's a 640 by 360 image. And we'll let it rescale the image. Now we can from here, we can convert it from a 24-bit image down to, say, a ham image. Boom, there's a ham image, and we're going to do 16 colors, so this is going to be a ham 6 image, and we're going to do Floyd Steinberg. It's going to convert that into from a 24-bit IFF down to a ham 6 image. Now, from here, you can save it as different types of files, JPEGs, TGAs, TIFFs, 24-bit color images. We'd save this one as an IFF file. And then you just tell it where to save it to. Very, very, very powerful image editing program for bringing in JPEGs, converting them over into a size and file format that your Amiga can natively use. I highly recommend GRIMM. Now, this is just a brief overview. There's a million things this program can do. I will be doing a full tutorial on GRIMM in the future. So what are your go-to programs on the Amiga? I know a million people are going to write in, and Directory Opus is what you need to have. I've used it before. It just never really caught on with me, but I know people love Directory Opus. Let me know some of the other utilities that you can't live without, either on Amiga OS 3.1, 3.14, or anything. Let me know down in the comments. Also, please like and subscribe for more content on my channel. I've got a lot of new videos in the works that are going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks. And we're just about to celebrate my 1-year anniversary of 10-Minute Amiga Retrocast. So like and subscribe. Please follow me on Twitter at 10mark.com. But until next time, adios, amigos.